It's first meaningful football game this weekend. Just want to let y'all know U of H, University of Houston versus Oklahoma. That shit turned out exactly like I thought it would. So, U of H set themselves up to be one of the top 4 teams in the country by the end of the year with that key victory over formerly number 3 Oklahoma. Football's around the corner. Thursday, first set of games. I'm sure everyone is feeling the excitement. I mean, because something's in the air, you know? It's like, I don't know, I get excited for this time of the year. I got my tickets going to the Texans-Bears game, you know, and got the field level seats. I'm probably going to be pretty lit on Sunday, you know. It's like my church. It's like my cathedral over there at Reliance Stadium. So definitely gonna go pay my respects and you know just rest in peace to them Chicago Bears. But let's get down to some fantasy football. We had the draft, right? And everybody should feel moderately good about their teams. I mean, me personally, my team may look pretty bad for the first 3 weeks, but picking up Le'Veon Bell, especially since we've got 2 keepers for next year, I know Mr. Bell is definitely going to, okay, I can't say definitely. Man has a weed problem, all right? Weed is going to kill this man's career, kind of like Ricky Williams, but, you know, hopefully like Ricky Williams, he can overcome that. You know, maybe do some journeyman type stuff. But either way, Bell and D-Hop will be my keepers for next year. That was my main goal for this season, to kind of sacrifice these first 3 weeks in order for me to have a team that is playoff worthy, playoff contention. You know, see where we go from here. I'd like to pay homage to all the people that have made money in this league. I got a little standing that I like to keep up with about, you know, our highest money-making people. First and foremost, we got a guy that isn't with us anymore. His name's Jace Hayden. He ended up second place the first year. It was a little bit cheaper our first year, where first place only got, I want to say, somewhere around $11.50 or something, until we ramped it up to $200 per entry fee. So Jace Hayden, I think, got second place and came down with $400, but never came back after that. I don't know why. He just never responded back. Hopefully he didn't die. I don't know. But when I don't get any response back from people, I assume they're either dead or they just didn't want to play. So at number 8, we got Jace Hayden, who has a whopping $400, and he's considerably above some of you guys in the league. At number 7, and there's a tie here, right? So if you got second place in the league, and not the first year, you should have received $600. There's 2 people currently sitting at 600. That's myself and Flawless Victory, Terrence Ricard. So sitting at 6 and 7, that's us 2. Since I'm the most recent person to get that $600, I would say I am currently sitting in the 6th seed. Above that, however, is Lazy Pugs, who has a total of $850. Hasn't won the big one, but has come in 3rd and 2nd, I think, in consecutive years. So good on you, kid. He's sitting at number 5 in the standing. This is a list of people that you probably should be aware of that have either won or are making the playoffs consistently. Sitting at number 4, we got Classy Strippers. He won it the first year when it wasn't $1,500. So his grand total is $1,450, because I do believe he got 3rd place one year. So he got 1st and 3rd. That's a pretty good resume for a former champion. So he's sitting at $1,450 at 4th place. In 3rd place at $1,500 is a champion. Don't touch me there. It's, I think, his only playoff appearance, but if you only go to playoff once and you win the championship, I guess that's more than some other people can say. Correct. So Don't Touch Me there sitting at number 3. And our current champion, DDD, and I think our champion from 2 years ago, Chicago Chalupas, they both reside at 1,800, winning championships and also finishing third in years. In the other years. So our current champion has the highest total of money earned, and Chicago Chalupas is sitting there right with him at 1,800. That's our standings. The names that I didn't mention, get up on your game. I'm tired of seeing people wanting to change this into a 6 playoff league. I mean, that's just like watered down whiskey. If you want to do that shit, feed that shit to your baby. Don't come in here with some watered down fucking I want 6 teams in the playoff whiskey shit. Let's be real. So, be top 4, be a contender. I mean, what would the buyout be like? I mean, I'm not trying to water down buyouts. No, you win the championship, $1,500. Wish you could win the whole damn 24, but you got to make sure that people don't, people have something to fight for. I digress. We got the division mashup, and before I wanted to rate the divisions, I kind of wanted to see how the draft played out. I got a league manager poll up there right now saying that who do y'all think is the current worst division, so to speak. I got my opinions that you will hear shortly. So moving on to the draft. ESPN doesn't have the draft grades like I liked them in the previous years. I guess they did away with that. I don't know why. It was kind of a unique feature where you could, have some press conference type stuff and, have draft report cards, and you could do weekly ratings. I mean, I didn't see where that is. If anybody knows where that stuff's located, because I guess I'm an idiot. I don't know where it is. Please inform your commish. But let's go down the route tree here. Let's talk about the worst draft that I thought. I didn't give anybody below a C minus, but I did give one team a C minus. I don't want to miss anybody, so I'm just gonna go down the list of teams here. You got the whole 10 yards. That's me, right? So as far as the draft goes, I think I kind of shat the bed a little bit in round 7 and 8 where I didn't get to make my picks. So I got a little auto draft in there. And when I look back at it, I mean, Lavonte David, obviously picking a DP that early isn't ideal, but he's a solid linebacker. Could be easily ranked number 1 with Luke Kuechly. With that being said, I also drafted TJ Yeldon. Kind of don't like the Jaguars, much less do I like their backfield situation. But out of the 2 backs, I think TJ Yeldon has the most value. I think as the season wears on, he's probably going to get the most totes, most catches of the backfield. So overall, I gave my draft an A+. You know why? Because I picked up Le'Veon Bell, and now I have 2 solid keepers in D-Hop and Bell moving on into the subsequent years. I also liked what I did with Demaryius Thomas and Michael Floyd. I know that Arizona wide receiving crew, Carson Palmer likes to divvy that ball up, but I think Michael Floyd, if healthy, will be able to emerge as the number 1 wideout. I just like my picks, and especially toward the end of the season, going toward the playoffs for that playoff push, I like where my team's at. A+ for the whole 10 yards. Classy Strippers. I gave Classy Strippers a B, and I typically don't give this guy drafts because he's more of a methodical drafter. He doesn't draft for sexiness, but I gotta admit, some of these players on his team are quite sexy. Didn't keep a keeper and was able to take up Todd Gurley, Jeremy Langford filling in for Matt Forte. I like where we're going with that. Michael Crabtree, good pickup. I know he's a Raiders fan, but Michael Crabtree is a big pickup. That was kind of my 7th round option. I should have picked up Crabtree Instead, I picked up Levante David on an auto pick. So that's when Hero or Don't Touch Me There said that BD was in my head. Then I just had to tune that guy out. Regardless. B for Classy Strippers. Bull City. I gave Bull City a B. Kind of want to make it a B plus. Why? Because David Johnson and Sammy Watkins, if he can stay healthy, mixed with Tyler Lockett, who I think is going to have some massive explosive plays. I'm talking 40 to 50 plus yard touchdowns. Not to mention the kicking game, which he's going to benefit from that. I believe this year probably going to have at least 6 returns for a touchdown. That guy, his wheels are incredible. So I gave Bull City a B plus. Don't touch me there. This is B plus bordering on A. Probably favoring toward the B plus range because he's got a lot of maybes, right? Kevin White is in his receiving core. Dante Moncrief and Amari Cooper. Obviously, we know Coop's gonna eat. Moncrief should eat if Luck remains healthy. He's got some depth too. You know, he's got a little Martellus Bennett. You know, and some Will Fuller. I think those are going to be some key bye week plugins for his players. So I gave Don't Touch Me There B plus. Could easily be an A. Moving on, we got Bad to the Bone, new to the league. Jeffrey White. How did I rate you? This was probably my lowest grade. I want to give you a D, but I gave you a C minus, buddy. Why? It's because mainly I hate Eli fucking Manning. I think the guy, even though he has OBJ and should eat, I think the man makes way too many mistakes that not even OBJ's value can alleviate. You got Arian Foster as one of your running backs, and you know, coupled with Eli Manning, you also have Rashard Jennings. I don't buy this Giants, you know, offense outside of OBJ. There's some added help at wide receiver with Victor Cruz back. I'm not sure if I can trust Eli Manning's decisions at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, the sacking, the line, I just don't trust it. So AJ Green, injury prone. Arian Foster, injury prone. B Marsh should have a good year, but probably set him up for failure. You know, he's getting older. Mike Evans is obviously what you're touting. I'm not sure about your depth either. It's kind of suspect. You got Josh Gordon waiting in the wings, kind of like I did with Le'Veon Bell. And then you got him paired with the quarterback of the now for the Cleveland Browns. There's a lot of iffy maybes there for your first season to try to compete. We'll see. After that, we got D, our current champion, who has a very peculiar roster. Not a lot of huge wide receivers on that roster, but guys that definitely see production. With Lamar Miller and LaShawn McCoy in his backfield, it's hard to argue this. I mean, health will always be an issue, but those guys will produce, and the backups aren't too bad. He's got Matthew Stafford in the wings. Got a little Eli Rogers. I like that pickup. He definitely has room to explode, but for the most part, I kind of like where DDD went with his draft. Gave him a B plus, considering he is my rival and division mate. I hope I'm wrong. So, moving on to Chicago Chalupas. This guy clamored for an A plus, and you know what? I gave it to the man. The guy has A-Rod. Definitely poised to have he's probably gonna have his best season. Not because Jordy Nelson's back, it's because he had such a shitty season last year. This guy he's holding the rest of his team accountable. Wish I could have picked up A-Rod. I thought Chalupas might have grabbed him a little bit early, but you know, even his running back situation, which is suspect right now with Spencer Ware, but he also picked up Jamal Charles just in case he were to emerge like that. But still, Jeremy Hill, never been a favorite back of mine. You know, it's kind of like one of those ugly. He's a moped. You know, it's cool to have him, but you don't want nobody else to know you have him. So Jeremy Hill is the moped of his lineup. But other than that, Billy Baldwin is probably poised to have a breakout season. Antonio Brown and Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson is probably my favorite of his wide receiver picks at the value position. Definitely feel him and Kirk Cousins are going to have a wonderful season together. Gave him an A+. I think he is a front runner to win that division. Moving on, we have Belt Up Bitches, also a member of that division. Unfortunately, I gave him a B rating. It's probably more on the side of C+ to B. We still got a lot of question marks. Obviously, everybody in the fantasy world thinks Jordy Nelson's going to come back normal. Keenan Allen as well. You got a lot of guys on this roster coming off of injury, and you're hoping that they stay healthy. I mean, just for the sake of the sport, you love to see guys making spectacular plays, doing wonderful things, and Jordy Nelson and Keenan Allen are one of those guys. You got Ezekiel Elliott, who's bound to hit his rookie wall. I mean, but can he do what Todd Gurley did and provide you with a few weeks of consistent fantasy play? Quarterback play, obviously, he's got Jameis Winston in there, which probably isn't an awful play. And I'm no one to be talking about quarterback play. But Tom Brady waiting in the wings, much like my Le'Veon Bell, much like Josh Gordon, to more than likely come and explode. My biggest pick, my favorite pick of Bolt Up Bitches was Kamar Aiken. I think he got an excellent value pick from that guy. Looking forward to seeing where he goes. He's also got Derrick Henry waiting in the wings, just in case DeMarco Murray turns out to be a little more glass than iron pipe. So B is kind of where I rested. C+ to a B is where I rested on that. We got a few more teams to go. Bear with me. We got this horrible name, Des DMs lead to your girlie's bush. I mean, it's almost as if that's a question, or does or des. I'm not sure what the play is there, but I mean, if anybody knows Aaron Hill, you try not to get too deep into that man's skull. It's not pretty. I mean, Tim Burton type, not pretty. Anyway, the guy has a great team. I mean, where did I rate his roster at? Gurley, I gave you an A. I like Cam Newton. The Thomas Rawls pick, I think, is going to pan out. Not like, oh man, he's the second coming of Marshawn Lynch, but I'm looking at 8 TDs and a solid 1,000. That's and anything better than that is obviously good. But if you can hit that mark, I think you'll be fine. Duke Johnson in Cleveland, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm not a hater of Hugh Jackson. If anything, I'm quite the opposite. So I feel that offense has a chance to bloom. Definitely rests on the back of RG3 if Duke Johnson is going to have a decent year. Julio Jones got dropped. I mean, I'm not really worried about his ability to play. I am curious to how teams managed him at the end of the season. Kind of why I chose D-Hop, because I know D-Hop can play with any quarterback. Something about that Kyle Shanahan offense is very similar to that Gary Kubiak offense. It's good for running backs. Sometimes it can get a little predictable, and I think Matty Ice and Julio Jones fell victim to that at the end of the season last year. But Alshon Jeffrey and Kelvin Benjamin, definitely enough to shore up that. But I look at people's depth, and I like the James White. I like the Tajay Sharp. These are some solid players that have a chance. Michael Thomas. These are guys that can break out. And LeGarrette Blount, I think he's a great late season addition. I gave your team an A. I think that's probably the best I've ever rated your freaking draft. Good draft on you, kid. We'll move on to Haters Get D's Nuts. I'd really like for, I think this guy's name is Lance. I don't think his name is Lance Schwartz. I forget. He's got 2 different accounts. But either way, he's the new guy. He's the Broncos fan. I really wish he would change that name from Haters Get D's Nuts. I mean, some originality would go a long way. But, if you want to leave it the same, by all means do that. Because your roster, from an auto draft perspective, typically they turn out okay, but I'm really looking at some shite here. I like the Blake Bortles, Adrian Peterson. Jonathan Stewart just is too brittle to me, and I think his longevity from last year is going to I think he's gonna break more times than not throughout the season. Emmanuel Sanders, I think, will have a very good year because of the lack of quarterback play. Really, nobody knows who Trevor Simeon's target is, but I'm banking it's Demaryius Thomas simply because that dude is friggin' awesome. We'll see if they force feed, teams try to take away that option if he'll even force feed it to DT, but we'll see. Jordan Reed, love that pick, but it's almost like, you got so many defensive players on your bench, it's hard not to give you a D. I didn't give you a D. I'm giving you a C minus, simply because you got AP and you got some nice talent on your roster, but that bench needs work, bro. So, moving on to flawless victory. Where did I put flawless victory at? The A+ category. This guy, when he got second place, his roster is looking very similar to that. He doesn't have T.Y., which I think if he's a wise man, he could probably use some of this depth on his team to maybe grab T.Y., because I think it would go wonderfully with his Odell Beckham Jr. Match. So he's got Luck. He's got Eddie Lacy. He's got C.J. Anderson, Odell Beckham Jr., and Antonio Gates. Until that man's legs fall off on the field, I'm not doubting Antonio Gates. Guy got Luke Kuechly as a defensive player, arguably the best linebacker in the game. Depth-wise, the guy's got Ted Ginn Jr. I think that was a value steal for him. He's got Alfred Morris. For guys that are lacking quarterback, like myself, Ryan Fitzpatrick there, probably going to have a good 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and probably less interceptions because of his chemistry with those wide receivers. Travis Benjamin is not a bad player, just, untested, unfounded, really, but I think he has a chance to blow up. Philip Dorsett, nice going. I think that pair with Luck, you might be able to give Philip Dorsett packaged with somebody else to get T.Y. to make this an absolute brutal of a team. This is my team that I picked to take the West. Great draft, A+. Lazy Pugs to finish out the draft analysis. Then we can move on to something a little more exciting. We can move on to the picks. My weekly picks for who's going to win, who's going to lose. So let's get rid of this draft analysis. Lazy Pugs, I put you at a C+. A little bit better than a bad draft. Obviously the auto draft had to been the worst because of so many defense players picked. But your team, I don't know if I should, give them rice pudding with their pills, or if I should, put up a bingo hall for them. Drew Brees, Steve Smith Sr., and I emphasize the fucking senior. You got Zach Miller, Chris Johnson. Man, if this was 6 years ago, boy, I'd say you were going to win this championship, homie, with Rob Gronkowski and J.J. Watt on your side. But, no. You got Chris Ivory in your flex. I like some Ivory. It's hard. Like, I got T.J. Hilton. It's hard to trust the Jacksonville backfield. You got Danny Woodhead. I didn't know that man was still playing, but he's probably the best back in San Diego right now. Melvin Gordon, we'll see if he can stay healthy. And then you got a little muscle hamster. Should do well. Very interested to see how he does against Atlanta's defense, which was kind of porous against the run last year. But other than that, gave you a C+, simply because I have a feeling your team is going to end up being the Walking Dead, and you don't have enough firepower to sustain that. So we'll see how you work the waiver wire. If I'm not correct, you've already made 2 acquisitions. That's kind of crazy, but yeah, it is what it is. So we're going to let's go and see who I selected for the week 1 wins and losses. Right, we'll go down. Start it off right. Game of the week: Bolton Yards versus Don't Touch Me There. Who do I have winning this matchup? I sacrificed the first 3 weeks of my season. Now, do I feel like Don't Touch Me There has an advantage? Sure. Who did I pick to win the game? is don't touch me there. I mean, it's very rare that I vote against myself in this matchup, but there's not much I can do. The guy has Amari Cooper, Devonta Freeman, and Matt Forte. These guys are going to go off week one. He's got a great week one roster. D'Angelo Williams in the flex. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be mad. It's going to be madness. My team isn't built for the early stages. You know, I'm going to get some wins here before Bell comes back, but probably not week one. I kind of knew this going in, that D-Hop, and I'm not saying I can't win, it's just unlikely. So I had to not vote for myself. Don't touch me there. Goes 1-0, and I guess it's fitting since his Bears are gonna go 0-1. Moving on to Bolt Up Bitches and Classy Strippers. Good matchup, but I'm having to go with the Classy Strippers. The Classy Strippers are a powerhouse team that is definitely good on paper. And I know William Eckert is a champion. He's been in the playoffs before. He's dying to get back there because I keep making fun of him for being, absent in these past few weeks. He's not in my division past few years. He's not in my division, so now he has a legitimate chance to burst through. We got Lazy Pugs versus Flawless Victory. Who did I vote for? It had to be Flawless Victory. Definitely like the man's roster. Lazy Pugs has a serious chance of getting in there and dominating, but for the most part, Flawless Victory has the matchups that he should be able to win that. Designated Drunk Drivers versus Haters Get These Nuts. I had to vote for DDD. He's my rival. He's in my division, but he's gonna stomp the shit out of that auto-drafted team. It's going to be disgusting how bad that's the blowout of the week. So we got Des DMs lead to your Girlies Bush versus Chicago Chalupas. We got a pretty decent matchup. I wanted to kind of go with Girlies Bush because I think Cam's going to show out against Denver. Kelvin Benjamin, that matchup, he's going to exploit that quite a bit. That offensive line is going to protect Cam, unlike in the Super Bowl, and it's going to be big. But I had to go with Chicago Chalupas. I think as an overall team, Antonio Brown, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Jackson, I really, really like Deshaun Jackson as a top-notch wide receiver. I would go as far as to say a top 10 wide receiver. Makes me want to say top 8, but he's going to put in work, and I don't think this man's going to eat this year. So I like Chicago Chalupas wide receivers. I think they're all going to be magnificent, and it's going to be too much for Girlies Bush. In the last game of the week, we got Bull City versus Bad to the Bone. New guy. Did I give him the win? Hell no. Bull City is a beast. Made it to the playoffs his first year. He's not going to slow down. No steam. Bad to the Bone, it's going to be tough. That first game against Dallas, I'm not sure how Eli's going to perform. Everybody's counting out Dallas's D, and when that happens, Eli Manning will throw 4 interceptions and have 2 strip sacks, giving you negative points. I just don't trust Eli Manning, especially in that Taj Mahal that Jerry Jones built. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be loud. Everybody's going to be screaming Zeke, Dak, all that stuff. It's just, I think it'll be too much. I'm not a Cowboys fan by any means, but I just don't think Eli's going to be your Achilles heel. If you can get 20 plus points from Eli, you may win this game, but I just don't see it happening. So I'm giving that win to Bull City. There you have it. Those are my predictions. Like it or love it. It's up to you. I'll be back after week 1. Good luck to everybody except for DDD. And obviously, don't touch me there. Hope you guys develop mouth cancer. So, with that being said, ta-da, week 1. Let's get this shit, son.